time for a new episode of the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. This is Mallory, and hold on to your butts because the cold is bothering me anyway. My BFF Ariel is shivering her timbers this morning.
Army hearties.
Our Supreme Overlord Carla is over the snow.
Yes, in very vehement terms.
You're a heat miser.
Today I am.
Yes, yep. We are recording from our library in Jackson County, West Virginia. I don't know the weather in Seattle today, but I'm positive Zach is not nearly as cold as we are.
Nope, it's cold and rainy, but not too cold and not too rainy. Like always in Seattle. It's perfect weather.
We came in here this morning and it was 62 degrees in this room. And I was like, absolutely not.
That's because it's 8 degrees outside.
It is 8 degrees outside. Yeah. It's too cold.
That's pretty chilly. Yeah, no, it's, I think,
Yep.
mid-40s here. It's almost always mid-40s here in the winter. It's kind of nice.
Well, today we are doing Conspiracies. We have Conspiracies from both Carla and Zach, so it's going to get real fun today. Hope you guys brought your tinfoil hats.
You're going to need it.
It's going to get heated. It's already started.
Microwave. It says microwave radiation.
We have the super anti-conspiracy theorist and the I believe everything conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, you're always prepared if you believe everything.
Head to head.
I don't know if that's the case.
It is the case.
Sometimes you out-conspiracy theory your own conspiracies.
Yep.
I have never done that. I just take them to the next level. They're squared. It's a conspiracy squared.
That's what I like doing.
Oh, God.
What was that thing we talked about on one of the other ones? It was like what was it?
Oh, it was something Zach came up with. It was,
and I thought I'm going to use that forever. I can't remember. I forgot it.
It's like R squared or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it was something silly like that. It was like R squared. But I was talking about...
I know something else, but I loved it. So I was...
Oh, no, anyway, I was talking about, like, if I remember correctly, something about, like, area and volume or square cube law or something like that. I don't remember what it was. It's something goofy.
Anyway, I forgot
and
it.
It had
I'm
numbers
going to have to hunt it up because I did like it.
Yeah.
But that's me with conspiracy theories.
Yeah, pretty much. Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I can.
She's ready, man.
I have notes.
She is prepared.
Biting at the bit.
I'll probably get confused. I get too into it. So it'll be all over the place. Sorry, guys. Mine is on weather control and geoengineering, which is kind of like a suppressed science because people are like, oh, no, they really don't do that. But yeah, they do. And it started out with like simple stuff like cloud seeding. And this has been going on since I think it was the 40s. Let me look here. Definitely from the 70s, but I think it was from as far back as the 40s. They would release tiny particles into the stratosphere, which and let the wind. Wait, no, that's a different one. Anyway, we just started. I'm already confused. Okay. We'll break it back down.
So prepared.
Okay, one of them is to induce rain. That's the cloud seeding one. And the other one is solar radiation management, which they want to reflect sunlight back into the space to keep us from getting too hot.
Yeah, I've heard about this one. It's like, that is such a Band-Aid on the actual problem.
Yeah, it is. It is. But that's, that doesn't stop. And I figure there's other things going on to help. It's like, it's a giant experiment. Let's see what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Let's poke it with a stick.
It pretty much, yes. Anyway, they're trying to do
something.
They're trying to replicate what happens after a volcanic eruption.
Yeah,
where you have all the particulates in the air and the sun dims and things get colder.
Yep.
Why would we want to do that?
Because we're going to cook ourselves.
Because the planet's getting hotter.
I mean,
but I don't think. Well, personally, I don't think we have as much to do with that as they think we do.
Well, it is getting hotter. That's the main thing.
It is, but it's like a cycle we're going. Anyway, I'll get into that later.
Well, let's hope it doesn't keep going 2 cycles because we're just all going to die.
This can go down such a wormhole.
They're holding
She's
hands.
like that Charlie Day guy when he's like,
yes, yeah, yep. All we need is just a little cork board with all your stuff connected.
I could do that. We have an extra one somewhere.
We should do that. Yeah,
I could explain to all.
You should have been more prepared.
I should. Okay. the solar climate intervention, which is the one where they put the particulates into the air, it was called Project Silver Lining. And I swear I think this was back at least in the 70s, maybe earlier. They tried to develop very bright particles that they could put up there to reflect the sunlight. And they actually used like salt crystals to begin with. Which,
I mean, that makes some sense,
rains,
right?
It's,
Salt.
You can look up silver lining.
The earth, though.
Well, you would think, but I don't think they think, well, most of it's ocean, so maybe it'll fall back in there.
Maybe.
You know, you got to mitigate a little bit of it. But they also, they're kind of, some people are hesitant to do these things because we really don't understand how the system works well enough to weigh the possible benefits against the possible risks. And I think that's what a lot of people are. Yeah, basically. And there was things brought up about who controls the weather. And basically, governments are trying to control the weather. And they have used weather modification to, they used it during the Vietnam War to keep the monsoon season longer, to disrupt. So they've used it in war. They've used weather modification to hurt the enemy in a war. We did that. It was mostly rain, but still.
Was this with the cloud seeding?
This was with the cloud seeding. Yes, they did that. It was in the 7th. Well, the war was like 62 to 70 something. When was the civil? No, not the Civil War. The Vietnam War.
The Vietnam War. It was somewhere around there.
They did it then too. I'm sure they didn't.
It was apparently 55 to 75. 54
I think it was
to 75.
in the 60s, the late 60s.
I know I've heard about this before.
1963 to 1971. They did the Vietnam War. Or 72. They used, here it is. It was Operation Popeye during the Vietnam War to extend the monsoon season over the Ho Chi Minh Trail, disrupting the North Vietnamese supply lines. They used silver iodide in the cloud seeding, which is the most common one they use now.
Yep.
Now, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yep, I agree. I've heard of this, at least.
It's like, so weather control is not as a far out idea as a lot of people think. We don't like to think that we can do that. And they have tried steering hurricanes. I know that's another big one.
Oh my God. I was hoping we would not get to the remote controlled hurricanes.
It doesn't work real well. But there was one this is 1948, Project Storm Fury. They seeded Hurricane King to disperse it. It was coming in into the Florida area, but it hadn't got there yet. So they were going to go up and put some cloud seeding on one of the outer bands to help rain out and disperse the strength of the storm. Well, they did this. They flew over the first time. There wasn't much. They flew back over and put more over. It was like 150 pounds of, I think it was a silver iodide again. Yeah. And they started noticing some effects. So they went back to base and they got up the next morning. They were going to go out and find it again, and they couldn't find the hurricane because it had made a dramatic left turn and slammed into Georgia and South Carolina.
Oops.
It also increased in strength. So not the best plan there. So it was years later, in 1961, they're going to try this again. They've got it figured out, of course.
Nope.
So, yeah. They did the silver iodine on Hurricane Esther, the eye wall this time. They didn't go to the outer bands, they went to the eye wall. And the storm stopped deepening. It resulted in the storm for what they called the Storm Fury. They named the project. Anyway, so that one kind of worked a little bit. But it was still, people were starting to get a little nervous about this because it didn't go away completely. And people were starting to complain.
Yeah.
Especially later. They were in 1965. What was that? In 65, they went from 63 to 71. They were going to try this on a hurricane that was not going to slam in to the coast. It was going to go northwest and out to sea, and everything would be fine. So they thought it was safe to do this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they only found 4 hurricanes that fit the description, but there was one hurricane coming in 1965, and it was going northwest, but it took a dramatic turn to the west and aimed straight for the Bahamas and Florida. I missed the Bahamas and hit Florida, and there were 84 fatalities. Now, they said they did not touch this one, so you just have to take their word for it. Well, but Fidel Castro had noticed this in Cuba, and he was sure that they were trying to steer that hurricane straight at him to wipe out the island. And it resulted in a treaty that they signed in 1977. The UN put forth this treaty, and like a lot of the countries signed it, that they could not use any kind of environmental modification techniques during war or anywhere to hurt other countries.
Yeah.
So if it's serious enough to have a treaty against it, then there's something going on. And some people, I'm sure they believe that we stopped and we're not doing this anymore. And what are the chances? Let's be honest that no one out there is doing anything to modify the weather.
Yeah.
And then they get into the HAARP, which is the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. And what it does, it kind of heats up the ionosphere. And if you heat something up, it expands and it creates like a vacuum, and other wind or weather patterns go into that area. So they think maybe they're steering them like that. Now, I don't think we have control of this yet, but I don't think we have stopped trying to do this.
I have a question. Okay. They're putting silver iodine in this. Isn't that not good for us?
I don't know. I didn't look up silver iodine.
I think it's in such low concentrations, it doesn't make a huge difference.
But over time, low concentrations
it could be one of those things that builds up in your system. I don't actually know.
Mm-hmm. I don't either. I didn't look it up. I was busy into the
I was going to say,
other stuff now.
have not taken a chemistry class since high school, but I feel...
You can have too much iodine. But I don't know if silver iodine is the same.
I feel like it's not good for you.
Probably not, because, it's way up there. It's not going to hurt you. Right. It has to come down. Yeah.
Into our water systems and our farmlands and,
See, I'm converting you.
No, that's just like normal freaking science.
Most of
it's the water
people
system.
just don't want to believe it.
Apparently, the NIH released a study on the potential risk of acute toxicity induced by silver iodide cloud seeding to see if it worked. And I'm looking at it now to see if it actually...
Now, countries are still using the cloud seeding to modify the weather locally. Mm-hmm. Spain has been spraying with lead dioxide, and silver iodide, and diatomite over Spain to keep the weather nice and pretty and sunny and dry for tourism.
Yeah.
And it's causing droughts because, anyway, so we're still doing it. And Beijing in 2008 seeded the clouds above Beijing so they would rain there, and the opening ceremonies for the Olympics we could go on without a hitch. So, I mean, we're still doing this stuff.
No, I figure we are. And we're
this
definitely...
is like when women plan their periods.
Yeah.
This is what this feels like.
Yeah.
And
it's like, oh, I have a party this day. Let's have our period this week.
Yeah.
Guess what, guys? That doesn't normally work.
No, and the cesareans, like when it's like, oh, well, I'm going to be out of town, so we can deliver your baby a couple of days early.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Well, that makes more sense than like changing when your period happens, I think.
Well, women,
it does, but it's like
women think that they can do that.
Yeah.
That is wild.
It doesn't work.
I had not heard of this.
It doesn't.
Okay, now we're going to get into the chemtrails.
Oh my gosh. Wait. Pause for a second. Pause for 1 second.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. What I was going to say just completely left me. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, yeah, I do 100% buy that we're doing like the cloud seed and all this like other stuff to like control rain and whatever, make sure that stuff is pretty. And obviously not looking at the long-term ramifications of this just because, we're all about those short-term gains just as a species, and I kind of hate it. Go ahead.
I feel like Mother Nature's going to come back with a vengeance.
Well, I mean, it's the one was causing droughts, right? So, I mean, if the rain happens one place, it's not going to happen in another place, So you can really cause issues.
Entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
With that. So, All right,
Ready for
get
the
on your
chemtrails?
chemtrails. You know this
Okay.
nonsense.
Okay.
He's so excited.
I'm going to start with a question. Okay, chemtrails have not been around forever. What they call chemtrails, which are the very long, I'll say contrails that stay around forever and slowly
They've
disperse.
Been
They have
around
not
since we've had jets.
No, they haven't. There was jets when you guys were little.
Yep.
Okay. I don't ever remember seeing them like that. And I can remember when I really started first noticing it. It's like you guys were in elementary school. And I remember, I can even remember the time I had this thought. Driving up onto the main road from our road. Okay. There was like a bunch of it in the sky. And some of them looked like letters because there was like an A or, I don't know. And I thought somebody needs to take pictures of these. And then they could spell out their names in clouds because this is kind of a neat thing. Because it was novel.
Yeah.
Is the reason I remember noticing it. I thought, yeah, that's, I had no idea about chemtrails at the time, nothing. I thought it was just.
She hadn't been brainwashed.
I had not, but I'm there now. My brain is squeaky clean.
Oh my God.
That's today's title. Squeaky, clean your brains.
But anyway, so they have not always been around regardless of what they tell you. And if it's not something they're sprayed, and I really think it's to dim the sunlight. I think that's what it's for. And I don't know what they're using, but I think it's that reflective thing that they're working on.
Well, they ain't doing very well then.
I know. Well, but if it's not that, then why are the contrails lasting longer now than they did before?
Well, you heard my theory. Just different elevations.
Well, it's like now today. So all the jets are now flying at this higher elevation?
Maybe.
I don't think so. I think because some of them don't make.
Okay.
Some of them don't make.
So spraying all this stuff to dim the sun is more believable than
every
jets
jet
flying around the same altitude.
They fly right around 35,000 feet.
But they
Commercial
have.
jets do.
And they have. So I think it's something has changed in the atmosphere. If it's contrails, something is different.
I'm just saying.
But anyway,
Think about that.
I don't think it's contrails. I don't think it's specifically contrails. Because you can still see contrails that dissipate.
And maybe they're higher up.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're lower. Or it could be anything. It's like, I don't know. You would think it would be, if they're higher up, they would last longer because it's colder.
Maybe.
So anyway, I think there's something going on. Because, let's see, there was a scientist in 1999, Clifford
The Bidrag dog.
Carnicam, because I had to remember how to pronounce that, conducted atmospheric tests and found high levels of metallic particles, strange fibers, and crystalline substances. And the study suggested that something unnatural was being introduced, and that's where the term chemtrail came from, because there was something else up there. And what I found really interesting when I was researching this again, a lot of the videos I watched about some of the findings they had where they would test the soil and stuff like that, I can't find them now. But they were finding higher levels of aluminum and barium in the soil. And they would test places like out in a field and then underneath a house that had been there for like 50 years or 100 years or whatever. They would test the stuff underneath, and it was like considerably higher. There was almost nothing underneath the house, but out where it was, stuff would rain on it and stuff. There was incredibly higher concentrations. And there is, that's been found other places that they have been. What were you doing, Zach? You not believing me?
No, I was moving my mic stand. It makes noise.
Okay.
It scared me.
I'm not believing you.
and-
This is also true, but
So, okay, if it's not from something they're spraying, then where's all this aluminum and barium coming from?
Aliens.
I'm guessing, this is just a guess because I have not looked into this. I would assume that all this stuff is coming from like output from cars and like power plants and things.
Because we put out
It
aluminum
could
and barium.
be power plants and stuff like that. That could.
I
could
bet
see
you it's
that
in
one.
exhaust. I mean, aluminum. See, this is the thing. I haven't prepared your conspiracies. I don't know where
Because
this
it's
stuff's coming
not.
from.
It's stuff they're spraying.
So we have to make two assumptions here. We have to make A, the assumption that this person
It wasn't just this person. There were other videos out there.
Okay, well, I'm not talking about videos, like actual studies of this soil.
Well, that's what they were studying.
Right.
Okay, if I watch a video on how, I don't know, physics works.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a study, but it's like,
what
it's a
is
video.
your source for the video?
Well, see, I can't find it now. They were actually scientific studies.
Where did you see them originally?
YouTube. But they were,
That's what we're trying to say.
they were, this has been years. It's been probably a good 10 years. They had sent the studies to labs, like reputable labs, but I can't find them now. I can't find these. So either I lived in an alternate dimension, and things have switched because of all this
we have
Mandela effects. I know.
We have.
Or they're not there. They're buried.
Funny thing about that is what my conspiracy theory is about here in a minute.
I know there's some other ones with the chem. I think it's. I really think it's the sun
I definitely
thing.
believe that there have been rises in certain kinds of chemicals in the soil and in this stuff. Most of it, from what I've heard at least, is coming from, other sorts of output sources, not planes, like cars and power plants and things. I don't know about the aluminum and barium though. This is obviously one I'm not sure about, but stuff like that is definitely ending up in the soil. It's like gross stuff. It's not good for us. I just don't think it's chemtrails. I don't know. Like logically, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
I don't think it's normal contrails. If it is normal contrails, our atmosphere has changed.
So here's one of my main issues with the chemtrails. Just in general, if you can see them up there in the sky, then they're up in the sky and they're not down here. So, maybe they dissipate eventually, but over how wide of an area? But if it's something like reflecting the sunlight, then they're just not doing enough of that. They would be reflecting more of that sunlight. I want to see giant grid patterns across the sky.
Well, then look freaking up.
No, I'm talking like giant grid patterns.
Look up.
You know what I'm saying?
He wants to see statistics.
I want to see a huge. I've looked up. I've never seen a giant checkerboard up in the sky. I've seen some crossing.
I've seen checkerboards. You could play tic-tac-toe in some of them.
Oh my goodness!
I have not seen any of those. I gotta say, I have not seen any of those.
I'm gonna start taking pictures. Sending you pictures.
All right, do it. I will say though, just to counter one point you made, I do see pictures of chemtrails from the 30s, or contrails, not chemtrails, contrails from the 30s.
Oh.
Okay, I have a question. Just because I really know nothing about any of this stuff. Why? What is a contrail? Is it not just like the exhaust from
It's not exhaust.
Plane fuel?
No,
it's not.
It's water condensation where it's so high and it causes Is it nucleation?
Yeah, nucleation of basically water crystal type
of
things.
Water.
Yeah.
See, I just thought it was exhaust, and I
then
was like, wouldn't it all be a chemtrail if it was exhaust? That's what I've been thinking this whole time. I was just like, okay,
there are chemicals in it,
right.
but that is not the colloquial term for chemtrails.
No,
right? Okay,
but most
the chemtrails are things that are purposely put in the air that stay up there for a long time and slowly disperse, and you get those the white skies that we see, a lot now.
That makes a lot more sense.
No. Can you remember when you were younger? There were more bluer skies.
Okay.
Or do you remember the white skies being a thing?
How did you include this new fog?
No, I have not included the fog.
That's weather modification.
Well, I'll just stick with these two.
It's unintentional weather modification, though, isn't it?
Just these two.
I don't know. I don't know much about it. I just know that there's a fog, and that if you watch it on cameras, you can see particles floating around in it, and that people.
Yeah, it's real
sick.
weird.
Yeah.
So I'm not sold on the particles floating around in it. I've seen some stuff with that, but I'm like, eh. But there is a weird fog that just rolls in, and it's on all these people's security cameras. It's
when I was coming back from Mom's. Oh gosh, I can't remember if it was around the 23rd or the week prior to that. All the way back, the fog was so heavy in the valleys, you could just see the tops of the hills. It looked like you were on a white ocean with just little islands. It was really pretty, but I thought that's really unusual because usually it's not that. And it was all the way home. There was that fog. But because I tried to take a picture around Pocatalico, but
Yeah.
I couldn't get a good one because I was trying to drive too. And I'm just not that talented.
I've seen it happen a few other times in other places. It's really,
it is
really cool
really
looking.
thick. Mm-hmm.
Like, I know with fog, if you're in a dense fog, you can see all the little water droplets. But, like, on these video cameras, it doesn't look like that, really.
They're bigger water droplets if they're water droplets.
Yeah. It almost looks like dust particles in a sunbeam.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it almost looks like. But there's,
Except
like,
they're
tons
bigger.
of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I sent her so many conspiracy theories. So many.
I love this one, though.
And the fog fit right in there with it.
I know, but there wasn't enough one that I could actually look up historical stuff
Oh,
on
my
this.
Lord.
Kind of.
So, okay,
Have to have-
I'm surprised there was something back in the day. I'm surprised you didn't talk about this. There was like a like some early, effectively bioweapon dispersal testing that was done, and people were being stupid about it and didn't take into account, like, the wind shifting possibly. So it like poisoned a bunch of people down.
I may have written that down somewhere. It was
that was a legit thing. This is part of the reason why people
we have done
think that this is
all
real,
kinds
because
of crazy.
we did stupid stuff like that back in the day.
I mean, and we still experiment on people without them knowing. I'm sure. I mean, there was the Tuskegee syphilis experiment where
that's a bad one. Yeah.
You want to hear something?
It was bad, and there was what
awful I saw yesterday?
What?
Apparently, during the time of the Nazis and whatnot, there was a pharmaceutical company that asked the Nazis for 150 women. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The Nazis gave them 150 women. The company came back to the Nazis and said, they didn't survive any of our trials. Can we have 150 more? You know who it was?
What is it?
Bayer.
I was going to say, I think it was Bayer, but I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Because we don't care.
No. It's like, well, it's not we. It's like the people.
No, I'm not meaning we as in like the general public.
Yeah.
We as in like the corporations and the governments and stuff like that.
So, I mean, that's another thing. It's like, oh, the government wouldn't do stuff like this.
The government has and will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of things going on with Earth cycles right now. Our magnetic field is weakening because we're getting ready for a pole shift, and that's not a conspiracy. That's something that happens every so often. But it has to weaken to flip over.
It makes bunches of little bloopies, and then it does
and then it
flip.
switches, but it's like it gets weaker, which is why the solar storms that come in are bothering us more than they did before. I mean, if we had a Carrington level event right now, we would be really messed up.
If we had a Carrington level event is it Carrington? What is
even when it was strong? Even when it was strong, it would be messed. We'd be messed up. But now because it's weaker,
out, like civilization as we know it. Get down, cat.
Pretty much, yeah. Because we would have no
Carrington
electricity whatsoever, and it takes so long to repair these things. And then you probably need electricity to run the factories to repair them, so it'd be a problem.
Yeah, no. Basically, all electronics would get wiped out. All of our satellites would get wiped out. We'd have nothing. No, Carrington level events would be bad. They're probably not going to have one anytime soon, but we could.
Would that really be the end of civilization?
There's no way to predict it.
No, there's not. You just have to, kind of watch the sun and.
I don't feel like that's the end of civilization.
Well, it would take out a lot of things.
It would crash a lot.
Because people would die.
Oh, yeah.
So many people would die because of it.
I mean, I get that.
Because you couldn't get medicine, you couldn't get water, you couldn't get all kinds of stuff.
It would be the end of
civilization. And we polluted our natural water.
As we know it.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, it's not an extinction level event.
No,
it would be,
but it'll mess
bad.
it up.
It would wreck a lot.
Mm-hmm. Anyone that's on medication all the time,
nope, they're dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chances are you're not going to make it because you couldn't get it. Trucks wouldn't run. Most cars won't run.
Mm-hmm.
You can't communicate with people. So it'd be a bad time.
That would be bad for us.
Yeah.
I know. I'd have to go find you.
Yep.
Mallory! We could get pigeons.
No. We can get like crows or ravens or something. We can train them instead.
Okay. Fine.
Pigeons.
I'm terrified.
Pigeons are easier.
Pigeons scare me.
Oh my God, you guys are so funny.
Pigeons.
But there's other conspiracy theories with the chemtrails. There's some people that believe that it's to facilitate Project Bluebeam. Do you guys know what that is?
I've not heard of that one. No.
Just accept the fact that I know what.
Okay, it is a project where the government would put some kind of hologram in the sky, which we can pretty much do that now.
Yeah.
To cause mass panic and
Oh, like
and to
the
control,
alien
like
invasion.
like a fake alien invasion, or like
Yeah,
What do you
but
mean we
see,
can do
so
that
many of
now?
us are now like, beam me up, Scotty.
it's
We're done.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of funny now that they're coming out with all this, the UFOs and stuff like that. It's like we're like, huh, of course it is.
Nothing
I
new.
saw I saw this guy. He was like making a reel about this, and he was like pretending to be the government, talking to him, and they're like, aliens are real, and he's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like nothing.
And they're like, don't you care? He's like, is it gonna pay my bills? No,
Yeah.
then leave me alone.
Yep.
Yeah, the couple that I saw, like, whenever the drones were over New Jersey and everything, they were like, the government is trying really hard to get us to focus on these. And everybody's like, the government's not even doing anything about it. So it, like, can't be that big of a deal.
Right? Like,
Or
we're
there's
not
nothing we can do anyway. Yeah.
stupid. Like,
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, so many people are just like, and
You guys, come on. We've really accepted our fate. Just, like, get better.
yeah.
Well, if the aliens
like,
were
you
here,
were doing
there's
a bad sci-fi
literally
movie right now.
literally
Mhm.
nothing we could do. They could just wipe us
No.
out if they wanted. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Like unless they're down here, like actually interacting with us or having some sort of material effect on the world, does not matter whether they're here or not.
Mm-mm.
Like, cool story, bro. You might want to leave because we suck.
Take me with you.
Yeah.
I'll be nice-ish.
Do you know who Warner Van Braun was?
No.
He's the one that
Mhm.
developed the rockets that took us to the moon. Now, we're not going to go to that conspiracy.
Oh, God.
But
That was-
anyway, this is the guy, okay?
Okay.
He had a theory that the way things were going at that time, and they could have changed, or maybe it's worse, I don't know, that the governments would stage a global crisis to bring about a new world order, and it was through this like fake alien invasion and all this stuff to get control of people so they could take away our rights and do whatever.
Well, they've
They
foiled
wanted.
their own plans at this
'cause
point.
I really feel
We don't
like
care.
No.
I mean, it's like,
No.
so many of us just have and gosh, these new generations, they're hilarious.
Mhm.
They are
What, Gen
so
Z and Gen
unserious.
Y? Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
my God, I love them. I love them. They crack me up.
I am
Yep.
Gen Z.
No, you're not. You're
No, I'm
Gen
Gen
X.
X.
You're X.
You're X. You're
Yes.
Z, aren't you?
We're
We're
millennials.
technically Y.
Who's the Z's?
Z's are
Sorry,
like
Z
Alex
and
Dawson.
Alex,
Z and
okay.
Alpha. Z and Alpha, yeah.
alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y is us,
Mhm.
technically. Millennials are Y.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we just don't get called that. We call
Which is
Well,
like
X
our
doesn't care.
general vibe anyway.
We
But
just
Y-
X doesn't care.
we believe nothing that anyone tells us, and jump to the
Millennials
wrong,
don't care. Gen Z is like,
they care even less.
yeah. And then Alpha, they're young now, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to grow up and be just the same.
They're-
Like,
I think they're
Probably.
even going to be more unhinged.
yep.
I don't mind it so much, really.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
great content for the internet.
Yep.
I
I
thought
love
I-
all their little tunes that they
Yep.
come up with.
And it's just like, like you do it.
They're
You do
so
it.
funny.
Let's go.
Okay, well, I've spent about a half an hour, so that's fun. So chemtrails are real. We just don't know exactly what they are yet, but they're not contrails.
Agree to disagree. All right.
So be wrong. It's okay.
Shots
Mine.
fired.
Pew pew.
My conspiracy theory. And I'm going to preface this by saying this is utter nonsense, but I love it. Okay. I admit that mine is utter nonsense. All right. So, today,
Mine's based on fact.
it's based on stuff. Like people, see, the issue is a lot of this is based on people's misunderstanding of how physics works. Most of it. And how reality works and all this stuff. All right. So mine is about CERN's Large Hadron Collider.
Oh, it's a
The
portal,
LHC.
isn't it?
Well, there's a few different things. So there's like a few main conspiracies concerning the LHC that we're going to talk about. But just a little bit first, this was created mostly to find like high energy particles that we couldn't find at other places. It's a particle accelerator, which is located near Geneva, Switzerland. It's operated by CERN, which is a European organization for nuclear research. The LHC is the largest and most powerful particle accelerator collider in the world. At least currently, they're making bigger ones, trying to make bigger ones. There's like some linear accelerators that are coming out, and then they want to make something that's like, I can't remember how much bigger than the LHC, but a lot bigger. Which, due to other issues, I don't think is really a good use of our money. But, you know, it's just you can't delve much higher into higher energy levels with outgoing much, much larger. Anyway, it's a 27-kilometer ring buried about 100 meters underground, spanning the border between Switzerland and France, so it's huge. And basically the idea is it's got these magnetic fields inside of it. You shoot out a particle stream, like protons or something like that, depends on what you're trying to do. And they get accelerated to very, very close to the speed of light, and then you shoot some other stuff in the other direction, and boom, explosions happen. And you can study the outputs of these high-energy events and hopefully be able to figure out stuff about the early universe. That's the idea. We want to look and figure out a few things like, A, what were the conditions like at the beginning of the universe? B, is the standard model of particle physics accurate? Does it predict things still, et cetera, et cetera? And to date, this has predicted everything basically 100%. The standard model is very, very, very good. Even
Can
if
we get to the conspiracy part now?
we're getting there. We're getting there. Anyway. So I was completed in 2008 after like many billions of dollars. And yeah, we're trying to figure out a bunch of stuff with it. So just briefly, just because one of the main things that it has done was back in 2012 when it found the Higgs boson, which was predicted as a particle that sort of gives other particles their mass, which is part of the Higgs field. The particle comes out of the field, and the field is what gives everything else its mass. This is like complicated stuff. I don't actually understand how that works, but it's a thing. And some people call it the God particle, which is silly because it's actually, I think the original quote was like from the God particle. Yeah. Because it was difficult to find. It was like too big, and they're like, yeah. Anyway. But the discovery of the Higgs boson was like the biggest thing that this thing has done, and it's huge. People got Nobel Prizes for it. It confirmed the standard model even more, which, is already very good. So, let's get into the conspiracy theories stuff. Okay? One of them, and this is one that people were very scared about for a while, was that it was going to create black holes that would swallow the Earth. So the idea was that when you're slamming these particles together at such high energies, you're going to get black holes created, which is fine. That's chill. We can do that. I'm pretty sure that happens in the LHC, no problem. And
we're just going to play a little bit with the deadly thing.
Just a tiny black hole.
Some people were worried about it. Some people were worried about it.
A lot of people were worried about it.
Yeah.
I don't know about a lot of people. Lots of people were worried about it. I don't know how much of it was based on anything real.
Because we had watched way too many sci-fi movies where you get sucked into a black hole and that's it.
Oh yeah, see that's one thing. This is what I'm talking about. There's a fundamental misunderstanding of physics. Black holes don't suck things. Not a thing. They don't do it. If you took the sun and replaced it with a black hole of the same mass, literally nothing would happen to us aside from it would get dark.
We get cold.
We would not die. Oh, we would die because we would freeze. Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, I'm saying like materially, we wouldn't get sucked into the black hole. That's what I'm saying.
But wouldn't gravity eventually pull you in?
Wouldn't the gravity, isn't the gravity kind of like sucking you down?
Well, then they have lied to us for years.
Gravity doesn't suck things. Gravity bends space-time and allows you to...
And pulls you in.
It doesn't pull you in. It makes you go in straight lines, basically. We're going fast enough that we go in a circle, effectively.
Oh no, black holes make you straight.
Oh my God. Anyway, so... if you are not traveling at sufficient velocity, yes, you will fall into a black hole just like you would fall into the sun, right? It's no different. The only difference is that when you get close to a black hole, you're getting spaghettified, which is not pleasant. Unless it's a really big black hole, and then you don't get spaghettified, apparently. You just go right through the vent horizon.
But not warm spaghetti, only hard spaghetti because you're straight.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Right?
So,
new conspiracy theory unlocked.
The issue is if you have these small black holes, you have to get close enough for them to get mass added onto them, and it doesn't happen. But also, there's this thing called Hawking radiation, which just basically says that black holes will evaporate mass over time, and that's what's happening to these small black holes, right? They will be created if they are. They will last, nanoseconds, microseconds, I don't remember exactly how long. And then they'll just evaporate away and they will never do anything. right? So there's no real danger there, but this was a big, it's still a big concern from some people, but tiny black holes can't do anything to us. There's not enough mass in them to do anything.
I think the reason it's a concern, too, because we don't trust the scientists doing this, because you can't trust your government. You can't trust government-funded scientists. It's like, just push it a little further. Just push it a little further.
Well, this is, okay, here. As a scientist
I think that's
who is
the trust
knows
thing.
some math and has taken general relativity, not an issue.
Well, I'm not saying it is, and I agree with you, but it's like, that's the reason we don't trust.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, in this
from
case,
experiences in the past.
I understand where it's coming from. People have a preconceived notion of what black holes do. This is not what they do. We're good to go with that one. So that's one of them. That's one. It's like less interesting, but it's a thing that people were really concerned about. The second one is that the LHC is basically a gateway to other dimensions.
Yeah.
And a lot of this comes from
my favorite.
string theory and stuff.
Let's combine them. It creates a black hole that sucks you in.
No, it's just
and you go to a different
the black
dimension.
hole is the portal.
It's a wormhole, not a black hole.
Yeah, like a wormhole. There's also like
Do
this idea that
wormholes suck
when
you
the
in?
LHC,
No,
because
you
it
have to
does
step
probe these
in.
extra dimensions, when the LHC
Plot
was
twist.
turned on back in,
They're the same.
was it 08? No, it was
Yeah, it was. I think it was 08.
complete.
that
No, it was
the one that
completed
had
in
the,
08.
like,
It was turned
swirl or
on
something
and
in
like stuff in like 2012. I think is when it actually
Yeah,
was like
'cause
doing.
that
Well,
was
of course
like-
it was.
yeah.
Yeah, because it was during the Mayan calendar. Yeah, we're doomed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what people
That was
think
whenever the timeline shifted.
is that when that occurred, when it was turned on, that's when we swapped. We did like a reality hop, right? And that's why the Mandela effect happens, is because we have
I could see that.
swapped realities. So some people remember the previous reality that we were in. And now we're in a different reality, which is a result of the LHC being switched on.
I could see that. I got a question. Is this the one that had the squirrel or rat or weasel or whatever it was that was in it?
Yeah.
Do you all remember that?
Yeah, and they couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. There was a dead animal in it.
Yeah. That's what screwed everything up.
I wanted to say
That was
also
the
some of the
every
butterfly
time.
effect.
Yep.
That's what it was.
And back during that time too, sometime there was supposedly, now this is another conspiracy theory, but somebody showed up inside the installation of CERN and told them not to do this because it was going to destroy the world or cause something like he was like 40 or 50 years in the future. Anyway,
That's what he
don't
said,
do
yeah.
this.
I don't
And,
actually even know if there
but
was
I
a
don't know whatever
person there.
happened
I
to
don't
him.
know if this was like a made up story
Yeah.
or if that was a real thing, but yeah, that was the thing that happened. Or at least
I
people
mean, if it
reported
was
on it.
real-
Whether it happened or not, I don't think so. But
He would have disappeared.
I could see people
Regardless,
showing up and doing
people
stuff
would have
like that
disappeared
because
him.
that's a fun prank.
Yeah.
Or maybe he believed it.
Yeah.
By the way,
Or
it
maybe it
was
was
a
real.
weasel that shut it down.
Was a weasel.
I knew it was something.
Yeah. Engineers investigating the mishap found the charred remains of a furry creature near a nod-through power cable. So he tried to nod through power cable and got electrocuted.
He was trying to save,
Save
the
the
world.
He was.
Oh my God, he's in a museum.
Send a picture.
Oh
my
I see a
God.
picture of him right near here. I'll send it in the chat.
Okay.
All the animals got together. It's like, we've
Poor
got to
thing.
stop them. They're going to
They
take
tried
us
to
all
stop
out.
it.
Weasel, you're on this.
Yeah,
The
but this happened in
weasel that brought down
2017, so
particle physics.
or 2016, 2016. Anyway, so yeah. I think also at one point some guy stuck his head in the particle path and like got brain
Oh, that was
damage.
stupid. Why would you do that?
I don't think he knew it was on or something like that. I don't remember exactly what happened, but something like that did happen. This is not important. It's not related to conspiracy theory. But yeah, the idea is that, and I think that a lot of this, it seems to come from this idea of the fact that people were trying to sort of probe down into string theory stuff. You can't actually do any experiments with the LHC that can prove or disprove string theory, to my knowledge. But they talk about having like 11 other dimensions in string theory, or 11 total dimensions in string theory. So people were like, oh, we're hopping over these other dimensions. That's not what it means. Just FYI. Dimensions in string theory are wonky, and they're basically, they call them compact dimensions, which is like, just as an example, you have maybe instead of 1D thing, instead of that, you have a tube, right? So you have the 1D, which is the length of the tube, and then you can walk around the edges of the tube, the side, right? Something like that. That's sort of another dimension, but we can't see it at our scale because it's too thin, right? It's like you can't really go around this edge of a hair, right? It's basically one-dimensional to us as macroscopic beings. But yeah, so that was one thing.
So,
this reality
ghosts
hopping thing.
could live in this other dimension, Zach, is what you're telling me.
What could?
Ghosts.
Ghosts?
I didn't get
I'm
that
not
out of
saying
that,
that.
but it's like
I'm not saying that.
Other
as it
dimensions
happens.
that we can't see.
uh-huh.
I'm just saying.
Anyway.
Ghosts
Well,
could be
if
there.
Mhm.
That's
if
what-
a
when
well,
we
no,
die,
wait,
that's
it was
where our souls
it's got to
could
be
go,
angels, right?
and-
Because they can dance on the head of a pin, right?
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
There you go. So they can do it.
No,
I
no.
remember this. How many angels can
'Cause
dance on the head of a
it's
pin?
super
Well,
short,
apparently they can also probe lower dimensions if they're that small. So there you go. Or higher dimensions? Depends on what you want to say. Anyway, they're probing the extra dimensions. Fun stuff.
I saw
And then
this
this
thing that
is-
said,
What?
do you think that the first person that ever saw an angel was just really high and saw a peacock? And you know,
Why a peacock?
because they got all the eyes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's a good point. On their tails.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it always
Yeah.
talks in with the biblically accurate angels.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were beings with many eyes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Speaking of,
terrifying.
if you guys have not searched up, I feel like all of us have seen it, but listeners, if you haven't searched up biblically accurate angels as described from the Bible, it's just like there's some wild
Terrifying.
stuff. They're
Be
terrifying.
not afraid. I'm
Be
very
not
afraid.
afraid.
Thank you. You've got too
Exactly.
many eyeballs.
Be not afraid of my 800 eyeballs. And
Also,
my
you
5
could
mouths.
play a
I
lot of
see everything.
JRPGs. They put depictions of angels in there that are
Mhm.
biblically accurate, and they are scary looking.
Yeah.
Like Bayonetta has some. Ooh, they're wild. Anyway, this last one, I'm actually going to get the video and I'm going to show it to you guys. It's only a minute long.
Uh-oh.
Do you guys have a laptop handy? Just one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is like I watched this last night because I had heard about this, but I had never actually seen it before. It's called the CERN Ritual.
Oh, is it where they opened all that weird people in costumes?
Yes.
Okay, I've seen it. It's
What?
kind of scary, and they put like Lord Shiva out front in front of it.
So Shiva
Which
is
is-
actually as a statue at the at CERN. Right, there's a statue of Shiva,
Which is like the destroyer.
the destroyer or the like represents
creator.
change. But it makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense because what are they doing at the LHC?
I don't
They're
know why
just
scientists are doing
destroying
that.
stuff.
Are we watching this now or after?
No, watch it real quick. Watch it real quick and describe to
Okay,
the
it's-
listeners what you are seeing, and I'll tell you a little bit about it.
I'm scared.
Or just watch our facial expression.
Yeah.
Or just watch
Wait,
the
can you
facial
make it big?
expressions. Yeah.
Because your thing's right in between.
Anyway, so I'll put this in the show notes, but while they're watching, I'll just talk a little bit more about the general idea. Well, actually, no, tell them what you guys are seeing. That's probably better.
It's dark and there's people and it looks like a cult.
It looks like a cult ritual.
And they're all around this statue of Shiva.
Oh.
And there's somebody.
The statue. uh-huh.
Somebody in white. She about to be beheaded. Probably anyway.
Yeah, so
Are those hiking boots?
hiking
kinda looks
boots.
like-
We wore hiking boots to a sacrifice. Get out of here.
It's cold there.
It don't matter.
It is cold. It's in Switzerland or whatever.
What? I didn't see anything. They just learn to hold a camera.
Well, yeah, this is supposedly like a found footage type thing.
Yeah,
But definitely at the very end,
supposedly
What did
they
they
went
do?
to slit her
The-
throat, supposedly, but he started freaking out too early.
Mhm.
no, they
His-
got a knife. You can see the glint of the
Yeah.
knife, and then
Well, yeah, but
The
you
person
don't
starts
like
stabbing
actually.
him.
That
Repeatedly.
seems.
Yeah.
If I didn't see them die, this seems faked.
oh, it is fake.
And
If you
even
look
if I
right underneath the
see-
video, it says a fake
Even
ritual
if I see
killing
them
filmed at
die,
this quarter
I'm
of
still
second.
thinking it's probably fake.
The issue
But if you
is
watch the actual ceremony for the opening ceremony, it is full of all kinds of like I guess Icelandic or like that northern like mythology.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that you've got your trolls and it was pretty freaky for us because we're not used to it. For them, maybe it was perfectly normal mythology, but it was kind of scary.
That was a dumb video.
I remember seeing that one too, but I thought he was talking about the one where they actual ceremony, the actual opening ceremony.
Oh, no, it wasn't the opening ceremony. That was a different thing entirely, but yeah.
And it was weird. For us, it was weird.
Sure, yeah. But though this human sacrifice thing, people thought this was legitimate for a while, and there's still videos and stuff being made about how this is basically a way of summoning Shiva or summoning the devil or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's like got a huge circle. It's acting like a gateway. People do these human sacrifices and things in order to hopefully summon some sort of thing, like maybe the Antichrist. There's bunches of different things that people say come out of the LHC. And basically what it's all from this idea that it's breaking into other dimensions or doing some sort of occult ritual, stuff like this. And I think it's fun. There's a bunch of other little ones. The issue with a lot of these conspiracy theories, I was trying to find a bunch of different ones. I'll briefly mention some of the other ones I looked into after this. None of them are that in depth. Like, there's not a ton of extra meat on there.
That really seems super dumb, personally.
What?
Like the summoning the Antichrist or the devil or Shiva or whatever. That just...
Yeah, I've watched a bunch of these videos in prep for this, and it's just like they all repeat the same
lazy.
stuff.
That's a lazy conspiracy.
It is a lazy conspiracy.
Get better conspiracies, people.
That's what I'm saying. Like the really juicy good
Mm-hmm.
conspiracies have
Yeah.
a lot of them come out as like real. So I didn't want to go over those ones, like MK Ultra or what was the other one, Project Paperclip or whatever.
Yeah.
Like those things legit really happened.
Yeah.
And maybe
That's
MK
the reason we
Ultra
don't
would
trust
be fun to talk about
anything.
because
Mhm.
a lot of the stuff in there is what they tried to do did not work. But some people still think it did. So, but MK Ultra, like, just to remind the listeners, is basically the same sort of stuff they have in Stranger Things season 1, right? Where they're trying to do experiments on kids and make them.
It wasn't just kids with
get
MK Ultra.
superpowers.
There was
one
like
of the
a
things.
lot of LSD experiments on people that didn't know they were taking it too. I mean, they drugged people.
Yeah.
And they didn't tell them. I mean, it wasn't like I volunteered for this.
No. They took
We're gonna see what
people
happens,
effectively,
or-
like
Mhm.
very like hard off people and did experiments on them. Crazy stuff. Also, just as a side note, have you guys seen like the old videos of when they were first experimenting with LSD, and there's like video recordings, and it's just like suburban moms taking LSD. It is buck wild.
Yeah. And we did the government has done a lot of shady things. And it's not just our government, it's governments all over the place, which is why we don't trust anything anymore. And why we are so, I guess, easy to believe the crazy stuff, because in 50 years, half this crazy stuff may be legit.
Yeah.
And
For
I
some
think it's
things,
kind of
this is
weird,
definitely true.
some of the symbolism they put with CERN too, because symbolism speaks volumes. And the whole like Lord Shiva there, which is like totally not that type of mythology or history or whatever for that area.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it's like they were inviting people to like come up with conspiracies because.
No, I get you. I mean, the Shiva statues there, I mean, obviously it has the symbolism of the destroyer, right? And which makes sense on point because, like, it's got they're destroying particles. But it's a gift from India. Like, India gave it to them.
Maybe India knew what was going on, man.
Yeah.
India needs to sort their own stuff out.
Yeah, so. I don't know.
Do we have any
Shiva's
final
cool.
thoughts or?
1 second. I
Sorry.
just want to see a couple other things here. So it's still like these are obviously ones that are these all persist because CERN's weird. People don't understand physics. The speed of light is crazy. It's really fast. It's really weird stuff that happens. I don't know. The stuff that happens at CERN is very strange. It is the issue is anytime anything even a little bit weird happens with it, people like run with it because of these previous conspiracy theories. So
does that intense magnetic field have any side effects?
It can if you are standing next to it, but you just like people do not go into the chamber when it's running.
Mm-hmm. I meant like, does it escape the chamber, or is it totally contained? I can't imagine it totally being.
Well, so here's the issue.
Contained.
Oh, I'm going to get another number in here. If I remember correctly, magnetic fields like this fall off very quickly.
Do
Magnetic field strength fall off formula. It's like,
Up and walk
but the
out.
point is, it falls off very, very quickly, right? Like it's probably another one of these R squared things. I don't remember exactly for the force between them, But the field strength falls off very quickly. So even if you're like tens of feet away, it's not really doing anything. You had to be real close. For the most part.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but yeah, that's most of my stuff. I will say that the two other ones that I was looking at, like somewhat seriously, is the dead internet theory, which is basically that most of the internet is bots, and this is not true for the most part. It's kind of true, but it's not true yet. But with generative AI coming up and being a lot more prevalent, it seems to be something that's gonna happen if it's not already there.
Yeah.
For most, the idea is most of the internet posts and things are written by bots and not people. So most of the internet is basically just bots.
Well, bots are freaking hilarious.
The second thing...
Some of the memes are immaculate.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is one that I have thought about for like many years, but there's just not enough information about it. I guess you could do some math about it, but have you guys ever noticed that there's like way too many mattress stores?
Yes, I think they launder money.
Exactly.
That's
That's the thing. Why are there so many
how many people are buying mattresses?
mattress
probably
stores?
like one every
NPR
like
did a
20
thing about
years
this
or something.
years
It's funny,
ago.
my parents just got
NPR
a
did a thing
mattress.
about it years ago. So go listen to that because it's great. But yeah, the idea
Go
is that
check
because there are
inside,
so
see
many
if
and
they
so
got
close
some money
together,
stuck
there's
in
all
there.
these money laundering schemes, and because no way in the heck do they sell that many.
I feel that way
mattresses.
about KFC and Long John's also. How do they stay in business? How?
I don't know.
Long John's, I don't understand. I see a lot of people at KFC, but Long John Silver's or what's the other
KFC,
one?
I believe way more than Long John Silver's.
How?
The other fish one.
Captain D's.
Captain D's, yeah. But yeah, Long John Silver's, I've been in tons of Long John Silver's and Captain D's. There's nobody ever there. Not in like 20 years has there been anybody there. I went into one time and they're like, oh, we're really busy today. I was the only person in that store and there was nobody in the drive-thru. And it still took me 20 minutes to get my food.
And they're
How does that work?
outrageously expensive now.
I was at the one at Ripley and there was like 3 tables and it felt crowded.
Mm-hmm.
Which
It's
is
weird.
nuts because it's like
Like you go to other like fast food and there's like a huge line through the drive-thru or whatever, but not there.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they're still alive as a business.
I don't know.
But yeah, anyway, so I couldn't find any really good, fun conspiracies that had any depth more than like 5 or 10 minutes of content. So I like
I
the CERN one. The
sent
CERN one
you
is,
a million.
is an interesting one. It's a good callback to the Mandela effect, which is what we have talked
Yeah.
about previously. But yeah, the idea, turn on
I've sent a
CERN,
million and
makes the
they just-
Mandela effect happen.
I just
Crazy.
can't, the Mandela effect though, I can't understand how come so many people remember wrong.
Yeah.
The same wrong.
Yeah,
it's not
it is
just
weird.
like it's the same wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
I do think that one is, yeah. Definitely
I mean, it's
weird.
like the Bernstein Bears is the one that really gets me because I worked here and I shelved books before the 2012
Yep.
thing, and I could have swore it was spelled different.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, everyone pronounced
Yeah,
it
the
very
first time I
Bears,
saw that.
right? Everybody did. At least that I
Yeah.
remember. So
The first time I ever like started
Uh-huh.
working here, I mean, it wasn't the very first time, but shortly after I started working here,
Mhm.
I read that and I was like, nuh-uh. So like I came into work and
And you
like looked at
looked.
all
Yeah.
of them and I was like,
I guess it
nuh-uh.
is.
Like-
Yep.
Crazy.
All right. I think we are going to wrap up. This was a pretty fun discussion today.
It's your guys' next term, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did it-
Yeah.
They're
I'm
doing
going to
other
get a good one.
conspiracies.
Mine was a good one.
Yours
It's
was
just real.
outrageous. Zach's was dumb and yours was like a different
Mine
kind of
wasn't
dumb.
That'll
dumb.
probably be
People
controversial.
Mine was
legitimately
real.
believe this.
Yeah.
They still
don't-
make videos about it. It's nonsense.
They're dumb. Then they're dumb.
I think I might bring my own conspiracy.
Like one that you've made up.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's made up, but we'll see. Okay, so our next couple of episodes we have coming up, Ariel's nonfiction pick is next. I don't know what I thought it was saying, but it wasn't that. We will be discussing Melania by Melania Trump. Then we will have our first book chat of the year. And because snow sucks, we've moved J.D. Byrne to the following episode. And then we will have Carla's deep dive pick, which is to be announced.
Oh, okay.
So start thinking.
I will do that.
She's like, news to me.
Yeah.
Forgot.
Yeah, I guess it is your turn. It's been a long time since we read one of your books.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the last one that you did was a nonfiction. You did 2 nonfictions in a row.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's time for us to sign off. But before we go, only the best libraries have librarians who don't shush you.
Just try to brainwash you.
Yeah.
Clean brain.
Squeaky clean.